How we doing, everybody? UFC Thoughts here, and today I'm going to be going over my picks and breakdown for every fight on UFC 301, Pantoja vs. Erceg on May 4th, 2024. Let's get right into it with the first fight of 13. We start with Alessandro Costa versus Kevin Borjas. This fight, to me, is very 50-50. I think it really depends on who or what sequence of events happens first. I'm going with Alessandro Costa, but I wouldn't be shocked if Kevin Borjas wins by knockout. I'm going to say that up front. This fight, either Kevin Borjas is going to knock him out, or Alessandro Costa is going to make it dirty and grind his way to a decision. If Alessandro Costa wants to win this fight, he should try and grapple with Kevin Borjas. Alessandro Costa was able to get to dominant positions on Steve Erceg. Kevin Borjas, he's very dangerous on the feet. He has great straight punches, which is something that Alessandro Costa is very open to. Like against Steve Erceg's jab and right straight looked fucking beautiful on this guy. I wouldn't be shocked if Kevin Borjas is able to land most of those on him. But what I think is Alessandro Costa, he can get tagged and he can get hurt. He got hurt by Amir Albazi. He got hurt by fucking Steve Erceg, of course. Kevin Borjas, I think, hits harder than both of those guys. If I'm being honest, he hits very hard. But his grappling is what holds him back. On the Contender Series, he's lucky he was able to do enough damage, and the guy he was fighting got so tired because he got held down for 7 minutes. In very bad positions, too. I think Alessandro Costa has better finishing ability on the ground, and I think he'll be able to make it very ugly. He'll make it a dog fight, and of course in Brazil, the judges are going to lean his way a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised at a 29-28 Alessandro Costa scorecard, and that's what my prediction is. I think Kevin Borjas is going to win the first round, then he's going to gas, because grappling kills this fucking guy. Grappling absolutely kills Kevin Borjas' gas tank. He punches still pretty fast, but his movements are his footwork's very labored, and he just slows down entirely. Alessandro Costa's gas tank isn't that bad. So I'll go with Alessandro Costa making it dirty, winning the last 2 rounds, and just, kind of stinking it up a little bit, but he wins, so Brazil will be happy. We move to Ishmael Bonfim versus Vink from Hell Pashel. Let's go. I'm going with Ishmael Bonfim. I'm sorry I did that theatric intro for Vink. But this is just going to be a youth bully, kind of. Vink Pashel hasn't fought since 2022, and he lost that fight. He's 41 years old. Yeah, and prior to the Marco Madsen fight, I think he had a 2-year layoff or some shit like that. This guy's as active as my fucking grandma, and she's dead. So, that'll tell you something. Vink, he's kind of a dog, kind of just a gritty veteran, been here for a while. Even though he only has 10 fights in the UFC, I believe he's been here since fucking 2010 or some bullshit like that. He's been here for a fucking while, dude. And because it was season 15, 16 on The Ultimate Fighter, I think is when he fought. I honestly just believe Ishmael's going to submit this guy first round. Because I will tell you this, if Ishmael lets this fight go to deeper rounds, I don't know how good his gas tank is, because I haven't just done that amount of research, because I don't really give a shit that much about this fight, because I just feel like Ishmael's going to get him out of there. Vink has he's kind of a dog. He has a good gas tank. He doesn't really slow down. That's kind of the thing about him. He's very well conditioned. So I feel like if Ishmael is able to let this fight get away from him, honestly, there could be a very late round upset, kind of resembling of his brother's loss to Nicholas Dalby, where he's dominating the fight, absolutely fucking crushing this dude, and then he gasses out and then gets fucking, pieced up. A lot of people are like, why is Vink Pashel such an underdog? Because, people are going to look at Ishmael's last fight against Benoit Saint-Denis, and they're going to be like, this dude got fucking waxed. And I understand that. But we now understand that Benoit Saint-Denis is a top 8 fighter at lightweight. And Ishmael Bonfim's, he got the emotions got to him for some reason, and he just started doing dumb shit, like letting Benoit Saint Denis absolutely drill body kicks on him. I have no idea why he let him do that. By the way, I picked Benoit Saint Denis in that fight. Look it up. Anyways, I'm slight flex, but but yeah, Vink Pichel, I just think he's gonna get wrestled a little bit, youth bullied a little bit. He's younger, not younger. He's older shit, and I just think that Ishmael's gonna take advantage of that. So we move to Dione Barboza versus Ernesta Carrasqueta. I think I said that right. I hope I did. This fight is... both these ladies have fought in the Contender Series. Dione had a submission win in the first round. She's pretty well-versed in jiu-jitsu off her back. Her striking is kind of a little bit sloppy. Ernesta had arguably one of the best, not even just like WMMA fights in the Contender Series, one of the best fights on the Contender Series with Carly Judas, I think was her name. Both undefeated. They kind of just fucking slugged it out for 15 minutes. And Ernesta, very tall and reachy or rangy for the division. She is a little wild on the feet. I'll go with Ernesta, but I honestly don't really see how this fight plays out, because I honestly just don't think Dione Barboza has that great of a gas tank, and Ernesta has gone 5 rounds before, and on that fight she had an unbelievable pace, landing like a clip of like over 60 punches per round. In the third round she landed like 80. So I just feel like Dione is going to slow down doing unnecessary grappling movements. Now honestly, I could just see Dione probably submitting Ernesta probably in like the first round. I could see that as a possibility because I don't really know how good Ernesta's ground game is. I would assume it's probably decent because she does train with Julia Stoliarenko, so she does have that, absolute BJJ ace in her training camp. So I'll go with Ernesta. I'm not that confident about it, but this fight it should be fun. It should. That sentence doesn't make any sense, like, grammatically, but it should be a little bit of a fun women's fight right here. We move to Mauricio Ruffi versus Jamie Mullarkey. I'm going to Mauricio Ruffi. Power puncher, very slick on the feet, has great finishing ability, is able to find good shots. Basically everything you need to beat Jamie Mullarkey. Jamie Mullarkey in recent times has just been so goddamn chinny, man. He's getting knocked out and dropped by a lot of guys, getting hurt by a lot of dudes. And I think one of the things that kills him is speed, because Jamie Mullarkey isn't really that fast. Mauricio Ruffi is very quick. Also, this is going down a weight class from his Contender Series appearance, by the way. And on the Contender Series, he fought a very credentialed guy in Magomed Aliyev. I forget his first name. Very old. He was older, 33 years old. Had a shit ton of experience, but he was like 10-1 when they fought. Mauricio, he does take a little bit of time because he's very patient, but when he gets going, man, he is very fucking good. Crisp leg kicks. His 1-2s are very slick. His right hand is, looking to catch somebody. He also spins a couple of times. Jamie Mullarkey's kind of just like bread and butter striking. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't really do a lot of cool stuff. Keeps it very signature. I could see him trying to go for like a clinch approach in this fight. But the only way Jamie Mullarkey's going to win this fight is if he tries to make it ugly, which, look at him. It's the only thing he can do in a fight. And I think Jamie Mullarkey's going to drop another one. Probably get TKO'd in the first. I think it'll kind of resemble the Nasrat Haqparast loss, where it's kind of evens a little bit, just, trading. And then one singular punch is going to set down Jamie Mullarkey, and the ref's going to stop it because he's taken so much damage in his career. Just stop it. Get it done and over with. So Mauricio Ruffi will probably have a very good performance in his debut. Who knows, man? Maybe this card's cursed or some shit. I don't know. We move to Joaquim Silva versus Drakkar Klose. I'm going to go with Drakkar Klose. I feel like Joaquim Silva is just kind of like your average shoot-the-box AI kind of guy that comes out of the gym very muscular. Look at his fucking physique, man. That is insane. holy shit, dude, look at him. But he's also very stiff. The gas tank isn't that great. He kind of wilters as the fight goes on a little bit. And honestly, I just think this is a tailor-made matchup for a guy like Jakar Close, who, besides the Beneil Dariush, loss so ever long ago, that was in 2019, 2018, somewhere around there. Dude, he's been fucking murdering people. He hasn't been very active, I'll give you that much. But in the fights where he does fight, like when he is fighting, he's fucking brutal, man. Gets a lot of cool knockouts, has great performances. Joaquim Silva does have good power in his hands, but he's very robotic, very stiff with his punches because he's so goddamn muscular. He's like, ugh, it looks like he hurts when he throws punches, like not to his opponent, but to himself. And Jakar Close, I feel like he has a good enough chin. Like, Beneil Dariush has, very underrated power, and it was also in, a very wild exchange where they were just, throwing limbs at each other. But Jakar Close also hits hard himself, and he's also very calculated. Not very calculated, but he's more calculated than, a Joaquim Silva. So, I think he'll be more dynamic on the feet. He'll probably get, a TKO in the first round, I believe. Then they're going to be throwing beer cans into the crowd. Not into the crowd, but into the octagon, boo! I also like Jakar Close because he's from Michigan. So, that's the boy. I also just feel like Joaquim Silva just isn't really that good. It hurts to say that because he's kind of a cool guy, but, he's just not really that good. We move to, honestly, one of my favorite fights on the entire card. Elvis Brenner takes on Miktebek Orabai in Miktebek Orabai's lightweight debut, his lightweight debut. I'm sorry, I have welterweight up there. I don't know why. It's at lightweight. Don't worry. Miktebek, of course, fought at welterweight against Uros Medic. Fucked him up a little bit. This fight is going to be so fucking awesome. Because a lot of people are going to go into this fight thinking that Elvis Brenner, all he does is really strike. When in reality, he has, almost all his wins by submission. He has, 11 submission wins. And then they're going to go into this fight thinking Miktebek Orabai, all he does is wrestle. But in reality, he's a very big power puncher and he's able to knock motherfuckers out. This fight's going to be fucking nuts. And Elvis Brenner, I feel, will have a technical advantage on the feet. And I think he'll be able to kind of land and pick his shots a bit better than Miktebek. But when it gets to the ground, I don't think it really matters how good of jiu-jitsu that Elvis Brenner has from that shoot the box camp. And I'm not going to talk about the weight cutting video, but it didn't look like he had a great weight cut, and it doesn't look like Miktebek had a great weight cut either. He looked very drained. But Miktebek Orabai also trains, and a video got released of him training with Bilal Muhammad, and oh boy, that's not. He was basically Bilaling Bilal. He was bitching him a little bit, which is not a good sign because Bilal Muhammad's very, he grapples. His grappling's very, high level, and Miktebek was kind of sunning him. And I know in that drill it could possibly be Bilal not training at highest amount, but that's not really what it looked like. He was trying to get up, and Miktebek was just holding him down. And Miktebek, I feel like he's super strong, and I feel like he's got an insane squeeze, because when you watch back that Uros Medic fight, that submission wasn't even on the blood. That was legit just a neck crank. And he fucking just started cranking the shit out of his neck. And Uros had to tap. And Uros, he's a fucking killer, man. And he made him look easy. He made him look easy up a weight class on short notice, too. Miktebek, I feel if he wants to win this fight, he kind of has to baby Elvis Brenner a little bit. And Elvis Brenner, in his debut, let's be honest, he probably should have lost to, who was it? Was it Zaibura? Whoever, one of the Dagestan, he's one of the worst ones. He's not really that great. But he kind of got grappled a little bit in that fight. Kind of got held against the cage a lot. It was his debut. He also took it on short notice. I think that's going to kind of be this fight. But a little bit more action-packed because Miktebek will be willing to trade with Elvis. But I feel if Elvis is able to start landing shots, it could swing his way. I don't know. This is a very fun fight. But I'm going to go with Miktebek Orabai. So, I'm going to go with the 10,000-year-old. There's no way he's 26 years old. I fucking refuse to believe that. Wait, both of them? Wait, Elvis Brenner restored his hairline. I didn't even realize. I fucking love this sport, man. We move to Karolina Kowalkiewicz taking on Yasmin Lucinda. Or Lucinda, I don't... That's my bad. It's Lucinda something. I don't know if it's O or I forget. I'm going to go with Yasmin. I'm not going to say her last name. This fight is very intriguing to me because Karolina Kowalkiewicz, for some reason, over the past, 2 years, has just been racking up wins. She's on, a 5-fight win streak right now. And a lot of them are against younger competition, which kind of throws me off for this fight. But then I'm looking back at the girl she's fighting, Diana Belbita, blah, 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 and I'm looking at Yasmin Lucinda, who, her 3 fights in the UFC, while against... Yasmin Yarugi is honestly one of my favorite prospects, women's MMA prospects. Of course, she got shinned by Denise Gomes, but we don't talk about that. And she had went to war with her for 3 rounds. Great fight, 2 young fighters. Brogan Walker, who was, of course, on that weird season of The Ultimate Fighter with Pena and Nunes. And then she took on Polyana Viana, which is kind of like the do you have it fight in women's MMA. Are you good enough? And she was good enough. She beat the shit out of Polyana Viana. I think, again, this is going to kind of resemble the fight earlier on the card, Ishmael Bonfim versus Vink Pichel. I think it's just going to be a bit of a youth bully. Because those girls, while they are young, Yasmin Lucinda is very young, but she also is very experienced. I think she has more fights than a couple of girls that Karolina Kowalkiewicz has fought. Hell, she almost has as much experience as Karolina Kowalkiewicz. She's 15-5. She fights like a mad lad. Yasmin Lucinda, very technical. She has good submissions on the ground. I think she's going to make it a bit of a stinker a little bit, clinch fest a little bit. But I think she will be willing to strike with Karolina Kowalkiewicz. And the only way... You can't let Karolina make the rounds close. You kind of have to assert yourself in the rounds, because Karolina has a way of fighting where she makes it so close, and at the end of the round, she kind of, is it Sugar Shane Mosley or Sugar Shane Robinson, that literally said, I throw flurries at the end of the rounds, because that's what the judges remember. She does little stuff at the ends of the rounds that, the judges are like, well, that round was fucking boring, but at the end of the round, Karolina was fucking kind of walking her down. You can't let her do that. Yasmin has to settle in and commit to these rounds, and I think she's going to be able to do that. She has that kind of mentality that she will do that. I am very intrigued in this fight. I kind of want Karolina to win, kind of just to keep that resume going of just fucking up these younger competitors, but I think this is going to be where that tale ends. Karolina, I wish you well. I hope you win, actually, but I'm picking Yasmin Lucinda probably by 29-28 unanimous decision. We have made it to the featured prelim. Jack Shore takes on Joanderson Brito, the Terminator of featherweight. Honestly, I'm just going to go with Joanderson Brito. Jack Shore, he is a fun guy. I like rooting for him, because he used to be undefeated. By the way, I picked Ricky Simone when they fought. Look it up, look at my Instagram account. I think I picked Ricky Simone at least. But, I just think that Joanderson is going to do what he does and walk this guy down, just kind of fuck him up a little bit, rough up his feathers, because Jack Shore has some decent head movement, but his striking is very kind of like I said about another guy in this, very bread and butter, nothing too special about it. He is able to avoid shots, but also I think Jack Shore, he's one of those guys who has the permanently flabby build. I don't know what it is. He never looks fully in shape, ever. And I know he used to fight at 135, I think. He was a bit more cut up then. He also doesn't fight a lot. And I don't know if that's due to injury or something rather or not. But Joanderson Brito, man. He's been fucking dogging dudes. he's been fucking dudes up since forever ago. Chepe Mariscal on the regional scene, he knocked him out. He's been fucking piecing dudes up, Weston Wilson. Jonathan Pierce, of course, prior to the David Onama fight, everyone was like, this guy's kind of making his way up the ranks. And Joanderson Brito, while getting dominated in that fight, found a way out. Which is kind of concerning for me, because I can see Jack Shore being able to do what Jonathan Pierce was able to do to Joe Anderson Brito. But I just think the difference is the height. Jonathan Pierce is a tall fucking kid. And Jack Shore is a little shorter, a little pudgier. I don't think he's going to be able to impose his will as much as like a Jonathan Pierce would be able to. I also don't like the fact that his only loss is by submission to Ricky Simone, who, I mean, Ricky Simone is good, but he's not, he's not insanely great. We've learned that about Ricky Simone. So I'm going to go with Joe Anderson Brito. I think on the feet, it's going to be very one-sided. On the feet, I feel Jack Shore stands no chance, aside from moving his head, landing a couple ones and twos. Joe Anderson's going to be looking for his chin. On the ground is where I struggle a bit with my pick, but I think that Joe Anderson's going to be able to wheel it out a little bit, cancel it out with being very active off his back and doing that he did. This is Jonathan Pierce, who was like, he's grabbing my glove, and he's like, and he starts smacking his head or whatever. I think he's going to be able to do that to Jack Shore. Also, I love Joe Anderson Brito. He's fucking awesome. How can you not like him? So, that's what I'm going to go with. We move to the start of the main card. Paul Craig takes on Kyle Borralho. I'm going to go with Kyle Borralho. I think if Kyle just stands up with Paul Craig, he wins. That's kind of it. Paul Craig, for a guy who has arguably one of the toughest stare downs in UFC history, like, every stare down this guy has is fucking levels above a lot of other people on the roster. He just fucking stinks, dude. He's the type of guy to stare at you like he wants to kill you and then fucking butt scooch his way over to you. Like, come on, dude, come to the ground with me. Paul Craig, here's the thing. Kyle Borralho isn't that great. And that's why Paul Craig will lose. You get what I'm saying? Every time Paul Craig fights like an insanely talented guy, we've learned this about Paul Craig. He only loses to like sub-level competition. Against the best guys, he fucking pulls it out. And we don't know that about Kyle Borralho yet. I don't think he's really... I think he has a couple holes in his game. Mostly like cardio and stuff. But also Kyle Borralho in his last performance did look pretty decent against Abusby and Magomedov, even though he dropped that first round. Paul Craig does not have the striking of Abusby and Magomedov, nor like the takedown defense. Paul Craig kind of allows himself to get taken down. Paul Craig's going to be shooting for legs for dear life. If Kyle is just able to gas out Paul Craig, which will happen because Paul Craig breathes like a pug during his fights, he should be able to break him because Paul Craig's been broken a couple times in his previous fights. I have no idea how Andre Muniz lost to this fucking guy, even though I did pick Paul Craig in that fight. I think Kyle Borralho is going to have a showing out at his home country. Will it be that great? I don't think so. I think it's going to be pretty boring, but Kyle Borralho might be able to finish him late in the third round, kind of just like a pity TKO where Paul Craig shells up a little bit. Or maybe in the first round, very early, he clips him really hard with some bullshit, like Johnny Walker did, where he's like, he catches the kick and then just fucking smokes him with like some right hands. Yeah, Paul Craig, he's just not that great. So he's taking a lot of damage, he's older. So, yeah, that's about it. We move to Michel Pereira versus Ihor Potieria. I'm gonna go with Michel Pereira. He didn't fight too long ago at 299. Ihor, he's kind of had a weird career in the UFC. His last win was actually he didn't suck in that fight, which is actually pretty cool. Besides that, his only other win was against Shogun Rua, which, like, dude, Shogun in 2023, really? Shogun in 2020, that's your fucking, okay. But not Lucas Brzezinski, it was the fucking, God, I forgot the Polish guy's name. It's another Poland guy. It was like Erceg or something like that. Kyle Erceg or something like that. I don't know. A guy that I was very hyped up on because I was like, this guy's kind of fucking good. He's one of the Polish prospects. Everyone from Poland, they're usually pretty good. The prospects from Poland are very good. Ihor just kind of pieced him up a little bit. But Michel Pereira has made middleweight look easy. He's speedrunning this bitch. He's speedrunning it. I don't understand. He's speedrunning this shit. And I think Ihor has the ability to get clipped a lot. And the thing is, Michel Pereira could take down Ihor Potieria. and kind of have like a performance that Rodolfo Bellato had, where he kind of eats a bunch of shit that Ihor throws at him, and then kind of just lays on him and TKOs him. I can honestly see that happening. I also just feel Michel Pereira has looked super fucking good. He switches up he doesn't headhunt. He switches up his attacks, goes to the body. We saw that in the Mikola Aleksejczyk fight. I picked Michel Pereira in that fight because I'm a fucking genius, right? Let's be honest, I'm a god. It's a joke, by the way. I'm not a god. I am. Ihor Peteria, I just feel like he's gonna have one of those fights. By the way, can we just respect Ihor, or Ihor? He is willing to take this fight with Michel Pereira, who is 2-0 at middleweight now, who's fucking dudes up. I mean, 2 fights in middleweight, he has like an average, he fought like 2 minutes so far. Ihor is willing to take this fight and then reestablish his fight with Sharam Magomedov in Saudi Arabia. That's fucking badass, dude. Is he going to lose both of those fights? Yes, he's gonna lose both of them. But Ihor, I honestly just believe this is going to be a fight that he can drop. I hope they're paying him well. Michel Pereira, I honestly just feel he's going to drop this. Drop it on him. I think this is going to resemble the Ihor versus Carlos Olberg fight, where Ihor kind of rushes in, gets tagged up a little bit, dies. And yeah, I think Michel's just going to put it on him and set him down. I don't know, Michel Pereira, do some flips. We move to the featured fight, Anthony Smith versus Vitor Petrino. I'm going to go with Vitor Petrino. Anthony Smith has looked weird in recent performances. Not that great. I just honestly feel that Vitor's going to be better. I honestly feel like he could take this guy down. He could take down Anthony Smith, kind of lay on him. Now, honestly, I don't rate Vitor Petrino that highly, but he is going to beat Anthony Smith because Anthony Smith is Anthony Smith, and this isn't on paper. If this was on paper, Anthony Smith wouldn't even be fighting Vitor Petrino because he'd be the champion. Okay, he'd knock out Alex Pereira in 1 minute and 21 seconds, and he'd submit Yuri Prochazka, and he'd fucking beat Prime John Jones, all this and that. But it's not on paper. It's real life. So Anthony Smith's going to drop this one because it's Anthony Smith. Let's be honest. Anthony Smith, while very crafty, he is slower, and he also just, like, can't take a punch anymore. Like, he kind of folds, he wilters, he falters, and Anthony Smith is like, I'm going to show up for this fight. You've had the chance to show up to fights for a while now, dude. You haven't done it. Vitor Petrino, I don't think he's really that good, but he is going to youth bully. Again, another youth bully on this card. He's going to youth bully him. He's going to land, because Vitor Petrino does hit very hard. And I honestly believe he could just wrestle Anthony Smith, smudge him around, because his takedowns he's very strong. He has a heavy presence in the cage, pretty quick. But yeah, Vitor Petrino, I just honestly think that he's going to do what he does best, kind of impose his will on Anthony Smith. Anthony Smith is going to be too slow to really do much about it. That's about it. That's how the cookie's going to crumble. Vitor Petrino is going to be a top 10 light heavyweight come Monday. Yeah, it is what it is. Even though I don't really rate him that high, I don't know how much higher Vitor's ceiling is, because I don't really know if he even is that good. But he is going to beat Anthony Smith because Anthony Smith sucks, and I think he's going to get knocked out in the first round, if I'm being honest. Because that's kind of when Anthony Smith seems like at his worst. He gets increasingly better as the fight goes on. But also, Anthony Smith got, like, styled on by Johnny Walker with, like, punches. Like, and also leg kicks. That's going to be the big problem. Vitor throws some mean-ass fucking leg kicks, and that's going to chop down Anthony Smith like a motherfucker. So, that's how that fights. I forgot to add that point. Vitor Petrino's leg kicks are a mean son of a bitch. He also throws great head kicks. So, I wouldn't be surprised at a head kick KO. But either way, Anthony's going down in the first round. It doesn't really matter by what, but that's how that's going to happen. We move to Jonathan Martinez versus Jose Aldo. By the way, for some reason, they just switched the corners. Jose Aldo was now in the red corner. Jonathan Martinez in the in the blue corner. They just changed it at like the ceremonial weigh-ins. I don't know why they did that. It doesn't make any sense ranking-wise. That's besides the point. I'm going with Jonathan Martinez. I'm going against the grain. I'm going with the underdog. A lot of people are picking Jose Aldo. Hear me out. A lot of people. Listen, Jose Aldo's defense is very good. And Jonathan Martinez, his boxing defense isn't really that great. He doesn't really have that much boxing prowess. He doesn't use his hands a lot. He's very kick-heavy. Jose Aldo, listen, he hasn't fought in a while. He's been boxing, but I'll tell you one thing that Jose Aldo was never really known for, and that's having a gas tank. He's kind of always faltered later in fights. And Jonathan Martinez, while patient, in recent memory, has been putting paces on people for a while. I mean, look at the Said Nurmagomedov fight. Said tired in that fight just because Jonathan, he threw a lot, because Jonathan's defense allowed him to be able to throw that many shots, because a lot of them weren't getting through. Jose Aldo, I will say this. I think that Jonathan Martinez, his leg kick game plan will not be as effective, because I'll tell you what, Jose Aldo can check a leg kick like a motherfucker. I also believe Jose Aldo's body shots will be open on Jonathan Martinez because he has a high guard, his body's wide open. But even with all this stacked against Jonathan, I just don't see him losing, if I'm being honest. I'm going with Jonathan Martinez. Because when he does throw with his hands, which he is going to have to do in this fight, it's pretty damn good. Jose Aldo, his defense, a lot of people are using clips from so long ago. Like, a lot of people are forgetting that the last time this Jose Aldo fought in MMA was 2022, right? He's older now. He's not 35, he's 37 now. He's getting older. Jonathan also has, like, the size advantage on him. Jonathan is a big fucking bantamweight, man. He's a big fucking boy. And that's kind of like a thing that plays into why his abilities are able to work, is because of his size advantage. He's able to bully guys. And I think that's what he's going to do to Jose Aldo. I honestly believe he could fucking clinch fest Jose Aldo. He was able to clinch heavy against Said Nurmagomedov. We know how good his grappling is. He got fucking clinch held because Jonathan Martinez is a strong fucking kid. Now, it will be boring if Jonathan does that, but honestly, I could see him doing that because it's a very good way of victory. He could Merab Dvalishvili Jose Aldo, where he holds him against the cage, makes it boring, blah, 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 this, blah, 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 that. But it's effective. And Jonathan Martinez, that limits the ability of Jose Aldo being able to land a lot of damage. It limits his ability to have outstanding lunging attacks. And also, I believe Jose Aldo might go out there and blow his wad a little bit. First time fighting in a while. I mean, dude, I'm not going to say he's going to have octagon jitters, but he's coming back to Rio, baby. And Jonathan Martinez, he's not a guy that lets pressure get to him. His demeanor reminds me of, like what's his fucking name? Why can't I think of it now? I fucking hate the guy. It's the dude that just beat Isaac Dolgarian. I don't know why I can't think of his fucking name. It's, Christian Rodriguez, that's who. He's very calm all the time. Doesn't let a lot of pressure get to him. And I think that's going to be what gets him this victory. Jose Aldo's going to be very emotional, returning back to Rio. He's going to be fucking running, clapping the hands with everybody. Jonathan Martinez is going to get booed, but he's going to throw that shit to the side. And he's willing to put on performance of the lifetime, and I think that's what he's going to do. Because, if I'm being honest, Jonathan Martinez has been styling on old heads a little bit recently, but he's also been styling on newer guys. I mean, Adrian Yanez kind of has similar boxing to like a Jose Aldo, switches to the body. And Jonathan Martinez, even though he doesn't box a lot, his shots were getting through with his hands. I think that's what's going to happen in this fight. Even though Jose Aldo's defense is very crisp, his leg checking his leg kick check is very good. I honestly don't think that matters. I think Jonathan Martinez wins this fight anyways, based on pressure. He's going to pressure Jose Aldo. He's probably going to clinch him a lot. He's probably going to land some knees in the clinch. Probably going to slow him down, slow old grandpa down. Jose Aldo ain't in his prime anymore. He's probably on steroids. Let's be honest. He's not on steroids, but he could be. Who knows? Fucking USADA isn't even around, where he got Riz Pharma, which don't even test champions going into fights. So that tells you what we're doing. So Jonathan Martinez, I'll go with unanimous decision, 29-28, because I think Jose Aldo might be able to drop Jonathan Martinez, which is not good, but I think it could happen. We move to the main event everybody's been waiting for. Alexandre, the Cannibal Pantoja, takes on Steve Astro Boy Erceg. Taking on Steve Erceg. I know, Steve Erceg, Jonathan Martinez taking both underdogs. Listen, man, Steve Erceg's kind of a mean motherfucker. And I think his style pairs very well against Alexandre Pantoja. He does a lot of things that guys who have beat Alexandre Pantoja well. Like Oscar Oskarov, Davison Figueiredo. Davison Figueiredo straight shots. I mean, his hooks up close. That's kind of how you beat Alexandre Pantoja. You have to kind of outdog him. And Steve Erceg, while he doesn't really look like a dog, he is a fucking dog. Now, should Steve Erceg be getting a title shot? No. Do I think this is probably the riskiest fight for Alexandre Pantoja in the entire division? Yes. Steve Erceg's been wrestling since he was a little kid. He's been grappling. He's a fucking national gold medalist, I think, in fucking Australia or some bullshit, right? Like, he's like a, whatever, Providence or whatever the fucking things are called there. He's like a gold, like, national wrestling guy from Australia. Like, he's in the likes of, like, fucking Volkanovski, which is fucking insane. And he's just now starting to get the boxing fundamentals down, where he's starting to lay motherfuckers out. Now, Matt Schnell, he's on everyone's highlight reel KOs, even Alexandre Pantoja. Listen, that win's not really that, like, it's not really that crazy. But, listen, I think Steve Erceg is just, Alexandre's overlooking him. Alexandre, I'm telling you, he's overlooking him. I'm telling you he is. Steve Erceg's a big fucking guy. He's 5'8". His straight shots are fucking magical. I think this fight's going to somewhat resemble when Steve Erceg fought Alessandro Costa. But Alexandre, of course, is way better than Alessandro Costa. We all know that. But Steve Erceg is getting better from that fight. I know this is only like, fucking 6 months? 6 months after that fight? But I really don't think that matters. I think Steve Erceg's style, where he's very patient on the feet, throwing out the jab, throwing out feeder shots. In the range, he does get hit by hooks, which is very scary for me, because Alexandre Pantoja is known for having a big, meaty hook. He's got a big, meaty hook at flyweight, but he's able to eat them, which is very good. He ate them from Alessandro Costa. He ate them from even Matt Schnell, which Matt Schnell, he does hit a little hard, even though his chin is made of pebbles. The wrestling. Listen, Alexandre Pantoja, just because Steve Erceg is like all that, don't get me wrong, Alexandre Pantoja probably still has the grappling, like, advantage in this fight. I still think he does. Like, BJJ-wise, he's going to be able to crawl on him like a spider monkey. But I think the difference between, like, a Brandon Royval and a Brandon Moreno is Steve Erceg, I think he's just younger. He hasn't had that many wars. He's not super battle-tested. He's going to go into this with a clean slate, not so much damage on him. Like, Brandon Royval and Brandon Moreno have had wars and wars and wars in the UFC. This guy's going in there. This is a lose-lose situation for fucking Alexandre Pantoja. If Alexandre Pantoja beats Steve Erceg, no one gives a shit. This pay-per-view's getting fucking 15K buys, and I'm not one of them. To be honest, I'm sorry, I'm not paying for this. This is going to be one that I'm going to, quote-unquote, look at ESPN updates. That's how I'm going to get the news for this UFC event. But, man, I just don't... Listen, Alexandre Pantoja can for sure win. He honestly should win this fight. But I think Steve Erceg, he just has the style that is the kryptonite to Alexandre Pantoja. It just is. Guys with long, rangy striking who are able to establish a 1-2, and guys who are able to wrestle. Those two things go hand in hand in beating Alexandre Pantoja. Being able to outdog him is also kind of needed. And Steve Erceg, while he does have a baby bird chest, and while he does look like Steve Carell, I think he's going to be able to outdog him. So yes, I am going with bedtime MMA, Steve Erceg, in the main event. Get the title, Aussies. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. Oi, oi, oi. I'm UFC Thoughts. These have been my picks and breakdown for every fight on UFC 301, Pantoja vs. Erceg, on May 4th, 2024. My confident picks reside with Kyle Borrallo, Michelle Pereira, and Jonathan Martinez in the co-main event. My pre-card rating is a 7 out of 10. Listen, everyone's shitting on this card. Let's be honest. Every fight on here is at least a little bit fun. The only reason that the pay-per-view sucks is because there's not a lot of name value. Every fight on there is going to be a banger, but, like, no one's paying to watch Steve Erceg fight for a title. Let's keep it a buck. Unless he wins this and becomes a massive star. Listen, flyweight is in dire need of a star. I know I didn't post, like, a recap for Perez versus Mateus Nicolau. I was busy. I also just didn't want to record, to be honest. I didn't give that much of a shit about that card. I will do a recap for this fight card, because it's a pay-per-view. And also, after this, of course, is UFC St. Louis, which should be a banger of a card, banger of a fight night. Yeah, I'll see you guys after the fights. Peace.